right, good morning. My name's Kim Maldonado, and we're excited to have you participate today in our informational session on VITA, which stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And we're going to look at a few things today. All right, so today we're going to look at a couple different things about VITA. We're going to do a quick program overview, what we are, how long we've been here, what we're doing. Look at some operations as far as the sites that we work at, different things, and then how to become a volunteer, what you need to do as far as our trainings and different orientations that we have. I'm going to play a quick little video here of one of the clients that has used our services.
I love that it's easy access. They're local. I only live a couple blocks from here. They are so helpful and kind. I can call them, come down, ask them questions. I've told numerous people about coming here because they are so sweet and so helpful, and they've never messed my taxes up so far. So I recommend people using them. It's a big help. It is.
I'm pleased with VITA. They've been extremely courteous, professional, and very helpful in every respect. They double check their records. I have a lot of confidence in VITA.
I don't have anything to do but come in here, let someone do my taxes. I don't have to learn the rules. That's very simple. It's free and it makes it uncomplicated for me. Well, it's a great deal. I'm sure there's people that could use it and need to use it that have less knowledge about taxes than I do, and this just makes it so simple.
And we hear that a lot from the clients that we work with. They're very appreciative of what we're able to do. We don't always have good news about refunds, but when we don't, our volunteers do it in such a way that people understand, and they're able to, we help them if we need to figure out how to deal with being able to pay, or we have an organization that we work with that sometimes can be a mediator with the IRS. So we don't just throw people out. But yeah, so what do we do? So as I mentioned earlier, that we are an income tax assistance service. We prepare for free anyone a household or an individual who has an income of $70,000 or less. And we are at 19 different locations and growing all the time. We do have, I would say a number of our sites are in churches, or we have a couple in the library. We have a few that are at nursing homes, and we also have a partnership with Keystone Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services. And what's really cool with that site is they provide volunteers to do the translating. So, and last year we had 180 volunteers. It's continuing to grow every year, which is great. At one point before COVID, I believe there were over 300 volunteers, so we're trying to get back to that level. People ask me about, having a site at different locations. Is it hard to find sites? I'm like, I could find 1,000 sites, but it wouldn't do any good if we didn't have volunteers. So finding the volunteers is what we're doing today, and so we're really excited about. Last year we had 24 new volunteers, and they were in all of our different locations. VITA is a national program through the IRS, and we began providing services back in 1971. There are thousands of sites, like I said, all over the U.S., and we receive our funding here in Lancaster County through a couple different ways. So we have a grant through the IRS. We get funding from the United Way. Fulton Bank is also our major sponsor right now. If you were to go over in the other room, which we'll go over there and you can take a peek, Fulton everywhere. But they have been an awesome sponsor for us and allowed us to expand and do a lot more things. And then we also apply for other grants. We have on staff for the United Way, we have a part-time grant writer, and so she's always looking out for opportunities for us so that we can continue to grow. And why we do it? Because it makes a practical impact on Lancaster County. And for the individuals, well, it helps save them money. But it's, when people get their refunds, it can be a springboard for the future. Maybe they're wanting to buy a new car, or they're wanting to buy a house. And it also bolsters the local economy, as I mentioned. Last year, we were able to get folks over $9.8 million in refunds that stay here in Lancaster County. It saves money for the client. Let's skip a little here. The average tax prep fee is $273. I actually think it's a little bit higher now, but we were able to save folks close to $3 million in tax fees. And then because the average income of our clients is a little over $29,000. And so those folks don't have a lot of money. I have heard, we've done a couple of different what we call pop-ups, where we just go into an organization for one day and provide tax prep for anyone that shows up. And there was a lady telling me that one of the individuals in their program, she told him, you should have waited. He wanted to get his money so quickly, so he went to one of those other places whose name I will not mention. They charged him $1,000. And I think part of that was he was a refugee, so I know that, anytime they touch a form, even if it's electronic and they don't do anything with it, they charge you $100, $200 just for that form. So we were able to save a lot for the folks in our community. And of course, one of the things that we try to do for our clients, if they are eligible, is that earned income tax credits, and our volunteers are trained to make sure that they pick up on all of those extra claims or extra benefits that for our clients that we work with. So it helps them because some of these you have to be working, so it gives them an incentive to work, and it's a tool for for fighting poverty. Last season we had 1,239 clients who were able to claim EITC, and that resulted into $1.8 million that they were able to get in their refunds. So VITA has a lot of opportunities. I mean, the one thing is that tax codes continue to change, and we are very blessed to have a CPA / educator at Elizabethtown College who does all of our trainings, our tax law trainings, and so he's able to keeps up on everything that's new and everything that's changing. So he passes that information along to our volunteers and makes them the experts in that area. We've grown quite a bit in the last 5 years, and we want to continue with this opportunity to help people. And according to the IRS, there's over 150,000 tax returns that are filed in Lancaster County that have an income less than $50,000. So if you remember on the slide before, our average was 29,000. So that means there are quite a few under that 50,000, and there are, a few above it as well. But yeah, so we've been historically able to help 7% of those folks. So we really want to try to get that percentage up, to get it up to 100% if we can. So we have a ways to go, but we're excited about it. And again, we've had, we want to thank our volunteers since 2007. I said the wrong date there. Clients have saved close to $28 million in tax prep fees and received over $123 million in tax refunds. So our volunteers make a difference. We did a little calculation, and based on the number of hours that our volunteers put in, and the money that we saved and the money that we got back in refunds, an hour of a volunteer's time is about $921. There's nowhere else that you can go and volunteer and have that kind of impact. So at VITA, we value a lot of different things. We value each other. I always like to say that the VITA sites sometimes have a dynamic of a family. I remember the first year that when I first started here, it's been about 2 years, and I had gone to the one site, and the volunteer, they knew each other, they knew about their kids, they were doing things outside of, volunteering. They would tease each other. The atmosphere is great. And so we really do value the folks that we're working with. And the results, they're pretty, I think they're very impressive as far as what we're able to do in the time that we have and with the volunteers that we have. We also value trust. When the clients come in, you notice it a little bit in the video, she trusts us. She keeps coming back, and that's what we have. We had close to 72% of individuals coming back year after year, and so they trust us. If we don't know the answer, we will get the answer. If there is an issue, we will figure it out, and they know that. That goes into the next one, problem solving. We do, from time to time, have returns that are a little bit more complicated, where we might be missing some things, and we'll do whatever we can to make sure that the individual gets what they need to correct their return or to do it properly. And I think everyone here, this is their program. They belong to VITA, they're part of VITA, and they do take it personally and want to see us grow. I truly believe that some of the best people are volunteers here at VITA. I tell a story where there was one night, it was around 9 o'clock, and I was talking to one of the site managers, like, oh, I forgot to put an email out saying that I need a couple volunteers for tomorrow. But I looked at him and I told him, I said, I bet you any money, I'm gonna have one person respond before midnight and one person respond before 6 o'clock in the morning. Sure enough, at 11:44 p.m., I got my first email back saying that someone could cover, and then at 6:44, I got the second email saying that someone could cover, and then I got 2 more emails saying that they could cover as well. So, the volunteers really do want to see this program succeed, and will do whatever. I mean, the session here, for example, I asked our volunteers if anyone would be willing to come in and share their experiences. Had a number of people. Ed here is going to share his experience in a bit, but yeah, folks here do take pride in it, and it is an opportunity to give back to the community. I know when I first started, again, I asked folks, why do you do what you do? And a lot of people said to me, I just love doing taxes, so it's like it gives people an opportunity to use their skills. And I've heard from many volunteers that they get as much from this program as the folks that are coming. They really feel that they've done something important, and they have. And then and professionalism. Our volunteers are very professional. You're not going to have any of them yell at you or do any, right? No one's going to yell at you.
Last year I didn't yell at anyone.
Oh, last year, okay.
Year before me.
But no, we do have very professional folks that work for us, that come in and volunteer for us. All right, so the next part we're going to look at operation. What are the nuts and bolts of us? So these are the locations that we currently have. I am looking at adding some additional sites. We have pretty much all around Lancaster County. We have a site, and we try to do that so everyone is able to get to us. We have a site at, we have 2 sites in Elizabethtown. We have one where we work with Elizabethtown College. The students take a class in the fall called, I think it's like Taxes 101. And then in the spring, they take Taxes 102, where they actually prepare income taxes for the community. So the professor, she's our site coordinator there. They will do the return. She checks them out, and then the client comes back in and gets the good news. So, so again, we have sites all over. Our sites, we're pretty much open Monday through Saturday, and 9 to 9 at one place. Somewhere during those hours, except for Friday evening, we have a site that's open. We do some pop-ups at pack. We do 2 weekends where we have 7 or 8 preparers and just a ton of people that come in. So, and then as I mentioned, we have some pop-ups. We're in the process of working with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, and we are looking to help. There's over 20% of individuals who use the food bank services that are either unbanked or underbanked. So this past season, we wanted to start by giving them an opportunity for savings of, the tax prep fee, and then we're going to be continuing to look at ways. We're working with some local banks to look at ways that we can help folks get a checking account and to get a savings account, and hopefully make sure that it's not going to interfere with any of the benefits that they might be getting, but we want to give them a product that's really going to work for them. So that's the process, the phase that we're in right now. So this is where we're at. As I mentioned, we have 180 volunteers last year, and these are the 4 kind of volunteers that we have positions for. So I'm going to start with the greeter, because the greeter is who you meet when you walk in the door. They make sure that you bring your identification and your social security card, and that you have all the paperwork with you that is needed. They will also, we have an intake/interview form that the IRS asks us to have completed. So he or she will give that to the individual coming in, have them complete it, and then that's basically what they do. If there's any, show folks where the restroom is, or if they need a drink or something like that. But it's very much what it sounds like. For the greeter position, there is a certification that they need to get. It's very simple. It's 10 questions. It's open book, and they're very basic questions like, I can give out my bank account to a client so that they can have their money deposited in my account. True or false? Very basic there, but it is something that everyone has to take. Even all 3 of these, basic, advanced, insight, and greeter, they all have to pass this certification. So then we go to the basic certification, and we ask all new volunteers, we ask them to, do the basic. If they feel comfortable doing advanced, by all means, go to advanced. We don't ever limit that, but basic is what everyone will need to pass the first year. And then we hope the following years that people will be able to pass the advanced certification. The advanced certification always allows you to do a little bit more. But for both of those certifications, we do provide training. And those trainings are with, as I mentioned, our college professors and /CPA. In November, we have 4 days, every Thursday except for Thanksgiving. We have a 3-hour class at Highland Presbyterian Church, and that's in the morning from 9 until noon. Then in the evening, we have a Zoom training from 5:30 to 8:30. And then we will also record those evening sessions for folks that, maybe you need to go out of town and can't make one of the trainings, so you can go back in and watch it. So we do that. We'll also provide some trainings in December and January, going over tax layer for new folks, helping them to fill out, the Pennsylvania returns, the local returns, and the PA 1000. So we do provide extra training. So the PA 1000. So the one nice thing. So we will do federal, state, county, and PA 1000 if folks want that. The PA 1000 is the rent/property tax rebate. And the one great thing with TaxSlayer that we like is that all of those forms are in TaxSlayer, and they build off of each other. So once the federal information is in there, then it pulls through to the state pulls through to local will then, and then state will also pull through to the PA 1000. There are some additional things that you have to add on all 3 forms actually, but those are some of the things that we'll teach you in the training, like in December and January. So then we have site coordinators who manage the site. They make sure that they have enough volunteers every day that they're open. They make sure they have all the supplies that are needed. They deal with any problems that we might have on site, or if we have returns that are rejected, they look and investigate why it was rejected. Site coordinators also need to have certification as well. And we ask folks who are interested in being a site coordinator have at least 2 years of experience being a VITA volunteer. So those are the different positions that we're looking for right now. So the way, it's just a real quick kind of procedural of what it is when someone goes, wants to be seen by us. So they would call 211 or they would schedule online. So here in Lancaster County, we have the ability to, when a client calls into 211, they'll be switched to a tax line. And then there's another organization, it's called AnswerNet, but they will actually take the call, do all the investigating, and then schedule the appointment for the client. So that will be the next step. We also have the ability for folks to go online and schedule their own appointment, which is nice. We don't have a lot of folks that use it, but there are those that like to. So then after they set up an appointment, they will get a little reminder, text message and email. And then they will go to their appointment on the date that they set it up. Once they're there, they'll be greeted at the site by the greeter, as I mentioned. And then after all of the forms are completed, the intake form is completed, they'll be taken back to the desk by the tax preparer. And the tax preparer will go through the intake process, which they'll look at their form, make sure all the questions are answered. It'll give them some of the information that they need to prepare the return this year. And I'm not sure if you heard this yet, Ed, but last year we had a 3-page, well actually it's 4 pages altogether, form. This year we're going to a 5-page form. They're adding an additional page. And what they've done is they went through and thought of all the questions that needed to be asked. There are some folks that are very, very good at doing the interview part of it. We have one of our sites that is set up that way that they have people that all they focus on is the interview. And then somebody does the return, then somebody will do the quality review. But the IRS has updated this form, so hopefully it's going to be something that everyone will like. I know clients may not like having to fill out 2 extra pages, but it's just a check mark. But they have to realize that the more information that we have, the better we can do the return. Because they may have something that they might not think is important, but it's something that we know would give them extra credit on something, or they could get an additional refund. So after the return is completed, and the client is with the taxpayer preparer, then we have another one of our tax preparers who will go through, look at the documentation, look at the return, make sure everything's spelled correctly, all the information is in the correct place, everything is done properly. And then once that's done, the client will sign off and we will e-file it to the IRS. We're able to e-file federal and state. Lancaster County we print out, as well as the PA 1000, and the client's responsible to send that into the appropriate location. Any questions? Don't go here? Okay. The liability. So all of our volunteers are protected from any liability resulting from a tax return under the Federal Volunteer Protection Act of 1997. The burden is on the taxpayer. The volunteers do not sign the return, and your name would not be associated to it at all. It says VITA and it has the site identification number on it. And if for any reason you feel uncomfortable doing a return, you can refuse to do it. We're not going to put any, sometimes when we've had this where somebody will say, well, it's ABC, and then we say, well, what about, oh, no, it's BCD, it's like they change their tune. So if you don't feel comfortable, doing a return because of the information you're receiving, you can refuse. We did have a situation this year, this is the first, where We completed the return before April 15th, but for some reason it was not sent in, and the preparer, and this was actually a father and son. So the father had prepared it, had him sign off, and then he was getting ready to leave for vacation, so he forgot to send it in, and then the son gets the, hey, you're gonna owe us money. So fortunately, this was the first time that he had ever been late, so he was able to contact the IRS and said, hey, can you forgive this? This is what happened. They accepted it and didn't charge the fee. But if anything like that does happen, it's not, I mean, Dad was ready to pay for it, but we do not have any liability for anything like that.
Hi, my name's Ed, and I have been a VITA volunteer since 2016. And I started when I went from working full-time to working part-time. And I knew I was going to want something to do when I retired, because I've seen too many people that retire and sit. And I saw one of the VITA things in the volunteer column in the paper and said that sounded interesting and got started that way. And I've been doing it since then. I do it because I enjoy it. I enjoy the contact with the clients. I enjoy the contact with the other preparers. And I feel it is a very valuable program. I think the return for the dollars spent is amazing. Because what does it cost to run the program, Kim? A couple $100,000?
Yeah, our budget's close to 400.
400, and you're getting 12 billion. So the return is amazing. And Kim talked about the impact on the big scale. On the small scale, when you're sitting with someone and doing a return, for instance, we do, in both the sites I've worked at, we do a lot of Pennsylvania rent rebate forms. You know, just about, some days everybody has one. And when you have someone who is retired and is living strictly on Social Security, okay, that's their only income, I don't know how they do it, and you can do a rent rebate and add 10% to their income, that's an impact, you know, that people really appreciate. Or when you're sitting there and you have a single mom or a single dad with several kids, and you can get them a return that's going to pay their grocery bill for a couple months, or is going to pay their rent for a couple months. You know, that's real impact. So I enjoy it. I like the contact with other people, and I think the impact we have on the community as a whole and on individual people is amazing. Do you want to ask me anything?
Yeah. Do you work at just one site, or do you kind of fill in?
I worked primarily at Ephrata until this year, and then they opened a site closer to where I live, in Mannheim. So I went there. It was like 15-minute drive, 35-minute drive.
Yes.
So I went to Mannheim, but that was only there one day a week. And my commitment that I make to myself and to, you know, when I do this is I will do 8 hours a week plus a shift every other Saturday. And that's my commitment that I make to myself. They don't ask you to sign up or say, you know, this is how many hours I'm going to give. So I did Ephrata, I went to Mannheim. I still work at Ephrata, you know, the other day and on the weekends. And I've done a couple of the pop-ups. I didn't do any this year because every time they had one, I was already signed up somewhere. So I didn't do any of those. But they're always fun.
Yeah.
So, other questions?
Like during the normal course of a when you're working, like how many people come in? They have to make an appointment,
Yes.
is that right?
They generally make an appointment. Now, if you are not booked up and somebody walks in and they can be done, it will do them.
Yeah,
But they have to understand that anyone who has an appointment is getting done first. So on a week, we run 4-hour shifts.
Mhm.
Generally, you will anticipate doing 4 people during that shift. That said, some days you get complicated returns and you're only going to do 2 people.
yeah,
On the other hand, you may get somebody walk in and they are a return client and they've got 1 W-2. And I'll tell you, half an hour, they're done and out. We can move them along real quick. So it really varies. The scheduling this last year, I think, was pretty good. We did not have any, I think we had 1 or 2 days we got backlogged in Ephrata.
Mhm.
I don't know what happened there. It got strange.
yeah.
But the scheduling was really good this year. Things flowed very well. We had greeters every time, which is essential. Things run smoothly.
Yeah.
So,
And just last question is, if you get a complicated return, are there people in the office who have more experience, or how do you handle that?
generally, if there's a complicated return, in Ephrata, we have Jan. Jan has been doing tax returns for 20 years.
With VITA.
Yeah.
She's done 50 altogether in her career.
She did tax returns when you did them on paper with pencils
Oh my God,
and calculators with the paper.
yeah.
Not adding machines, calculators. So
Yeah.
we have Jan.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, there is always, if you run into an issue that you don't know what to do with, you go to one of the other preparers or you go to the site court
Okay.
and say, I'm stuck. And one of the things that will happen is, if you're a new preparer, you're going to be assigned a basic level, and they're going to screen the clients you get. So everybody that you get is going to be at that level.
Okay.
So the first, as long as you're at that level, you're not going to get the complicated return with 15 brokerage statements and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Good to know. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Ed.
you, guys.
The other thing that you kind of touched on there is, so as a new preparer, you will shadow someone for a while. We're not just gonna say, okay, your first shift, and after that, here's your computer, go for it. No. Folks are different, so, we may have someone who can shadow somebody 1 or 2 times and then feel, hey, I'm ready to go. Once you're ready, we'll shadow you for 1 or 2 until we feel confident that you can do it on your own. But yeah, like Ed said, depending on how many people are on that shift, all of those people could help you in some way. And site coordinators are there. And if not, I don't know if you remembered Ed, who was over there.
Yeah.
He's our tax law manager, so we can call him and he can help with anything that might be a little bit more complicated. So we try to give you all the support and all the help that we can. We're not just gonna, throw you in there. All right, so no experience is required, just a desire to learn and to help. We can provide all the training. We can't really provide the desire, but when people come, that is something they want to do. They want to help and they want to be part of something. So this is our training process. We're doing our kind of informational sessions in September. Come October, we'll be doing an orientation session, and it's actually an hour and a half, not 1 hour. Let me back up. It could be between an hour to an hour and a half. What we do in the orientation schedule is we help you sign up for all the different applications that you're going to need. So you will need something that's called VSP, which is Volunteer Scheduling Program. This is where you will go in and sign up for your shifts. We will do Tax Slayer. We will also do Link and Learn. Link and Learn is the IRS certification website. You can also get some training on there, but once you feel like you're ready to take the test, you would go into Link and Learn, take the test. They will score it immediately and give you your score. You have to get at least an 85% to pass, and you get 2 chances to pass. We also will be doing some additional trainings later in the year. We'll be doing that probably like in January-ish, and go from there. So orientation in October. Tax law is in November and December. As I mentioned, it's every Thursday in November, except for Thanksgiving. And then we do a morning session and an evening session. A 9 to 12 is face-to-face. 5:30 to 8:30 is Zoom. And then we'll also record it, so that way if you don't have the opportunity to go to one of the sessions, you can watch it on your own. In December and January, we will be doing some tax prep software, the Tax Slayer. Folks will come in. We have one of our site coordinators who does a training on completing it, some of the little tricks that you can do, things that you don't have to do. And that is using December and January. And then we also
Kim,
have.
And I just want to say, if you are a first-year preparer, go to that.
Mm-hmm.
She worked for Tax Slayer.
Oh.
She's got an in.
Okay.
I just love being able to say that.
For everyone
But still,
else,
yes. We highly recommend it, and most
Yeah.
people do
it's
that.
not, the software is not hard, but there's a process you have to follow.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it just gets all messed up.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we will do also just some practice sessions. Ed has put together some scenarios. You can come in and just, go through it. If you have, we can tell you what it should be and look at what you got. And then we ask folks to have their test completed by mid-January. And because with usually a week or 2 prior to opening, there will be a site orientation, and that depends on the site coordinator. But we do want to try to get folks together to say, hey, this is how we do it. We in the orientation session, we will go over kind of some general things, but then when you do the site orientation, you'll get specific ways that the site coordinator likes to have things done. So that is our basic process, and we're always available, for any questions between Ed and I to help with any of the different applications that we have you use. So as I mentioned, our tax law trainings are November 7th, 14th, and 21st, and December 5th at Highland Presbyterian. And the first session is usually filing status and dependency, second income, third is deduction and credits, and the last is state and local, the topics. And one great thing with Jared, who is our facilitator, I think there's one over there. So we have something called the 4012, which I refer to as the Tax Preparer's Bible.
Mhm.
It has any potential question that we at VITA could get. We have this book.
Yeah.
As Jared is doing his training, he will tell you, okay, you can find this section E, page 5 of the 4012. The thing with the IRS is they don't expect us to memorize that 4012. But what they want is if we have a question on deductions, we know where to go. So I think Ed's gonna grab one, yeah. So everyone will get a copy of this. You'll have it with you, every time you are trying to look at it. So You'll get your own copy, and any question that you'll have, you will find that some folks, Ed in particular, if you ask him a question, he'll say, oh, it's in section E, page 2. Because what we want you to do is be able to find that yourself so that you don't have to go and ask somebody. A lot of times, the questions that we get are in the 4012 and people don't use that resource enough. So that will give you everything. It'll tell you what type of returns that we're not able to prepare. For example, we're not able to do clergy. We're not able to do farms. There's some other ones, but rentals, correct. Businesses that have inventory. So, and all of that is in the 4012 there, Marcel. So you'll get that. But again, these are the tax law trainings. And then in October, oh, I don't have that. I need to put them in there. So I will get the dates. If you let me know that you're interested, I will send you the dates for the orientations, and then you can pick which one you want. Just let me know. Again, these are the software trainings that we're going to be doing. We'll do it days and evenings, and it will be here at our location on 245 West King Street. We'll have computers set up. We'll have some volunteers that will go through a comprehensive return, and there will be other preparers that have done it before that will be here to help folks. And then again, the tax prep practice will be here on King Street. Same thing, we'll have computers everywhere. It'll be a great time to ask questions, and there'll be other volunteers here to complete practice returns, as well as time to work on the test and ask any questions that you might have. The one nice thing with the test, it is open book. It is open 4012. Because, like what I just said, they don't expect us to have it memorized, but they want us to know where to go to get the answers. We will also get you a practice test so that you can work through the test, and it is the same test that you will get when you log in to take the test. It will be exactly the same. So we try to help people, we ask folks to go through it first themselves. If they have any questions, then we can go back and work through the questions so that you can get the answer. But the one nice thing, yes, is that the test is open book. I Google answers sometimes, use the 4012, and there's no time limit. So if you want to work on it for a little bit and then go back, you can do that. So it's a very nice process in completing the certification, which is what I'm talking about right here. As I mentioned, you do have to pass with an 85%. And then the site orientations are usually in January. So for example, Ephrata opens the second to last week. So theirs may be earlier in the month. We have some that don't open until February. So it's all dependent on the site coordinator. And as I said, you will be able to shadow an experienced volunteer, and then they will shadow you. And as you do it, I think even sometimes our veteran preparers, it takes them a little while. Like Ed was saying that you can do certain ones within a half an hour. It takes people just a little bit, get the rust out, and then they're just zooming through. Yeah, and you will get better. Why volunteer? Ed shared his story. I'm going to have another little video clip here, but learn a new skill, make an impact. There is a flexible schedule. We don't require, we just ask one shift a week, which is 4 hours. Some people, we had one gentleman, I want to say it was like 265 returns that he completed, and I think I did the math on that, and it was like 6 or 8 weeks of full-time work. But you can completely make your schedule. You can tell me no. You will get lots of emails from me, won't you, Dad? Saying, I need somebody here, I need somebody there. I know I'm going to be sending another one out today, and I'm going to tell people, get ready, they're coming. But yeah, you can say no. You just don't go in and sign up, And then you get to know your community too. You get to know folks in there. So this is Chuck. He's one of our volunteers at Penfield, and did he come? No, he went to Columbia.
What I enjoy about it is working with clients that are really fearful of getting their taxes done. In past years, they may have turned it over to firms that charge them an arm and a leg, when here we can do them in less than an hour and at no cost, because we're totally volunteer. A lot of action is very joyful, the fact that we're able to do the return for nothing. And most of our clients, we can get a refund where they didn't expect it. Some credits that they can get that they didn't even know were available. And also property tax rebates that, again, they may not know that they qualify for. I suggest that they talk to friends that have had their tax returns done here, and I think they'll find that everybody's been very happy with the service they get, the free service that they get.
And as Chuck mentioned about, we give folks hope and we take away some fear. I had a situation, a gentleman who called me and he needed he was trying to file for bankruptcy. And he explained to me that he had not completed his income taxes in 30 years. Yeah, he had been working in New York City, had a very good job, left his job, took $30,000 in a 401k or a retirement fund, spent it on drugs, and about 15 years ago he got clean and sober and was working to make amends on things, and so he was trying to take care of his mom and needed to file bankruptcy. His lawyer said, well, you need to file income taxes. Called me scared to death. And when I told him that he would need to contact the IRS, I was talking to him on the phone, but you could feel the fear and hear it in his breathing. His thought right away was, I'm going to jail. I'm going to go to jail. They're going to fine me thousands and thousands of dollars. And he's like, do I have to? And I'm like, yeah. I said, I can't do it for you. And so he was able to do that. It took him a little while because it was a couple months before he came back to us with because we needed to have W-2s and stuff from years ago. Didn't have any of that, but he was able to get all of that on the IRS website. Came back, took care of everything, paid off his debt, and now he is living a free life or a freer life than before. But it's true. People, you hear, I was the same way, and sometimes I still am the same way, even though I know the IRS folks that help us out. They have been awesome. But that's what everybody's been kind of trained, that you hear IRS, you're going to go to jail, you're going to have to pay a fine. And so we want to be able to take that fear out of hearing the IRS and to hopefully build that hope for our community. So, yeah, this is VITA, this is who we are. And if you are interested, if you want to fill out the form, and you can give that to me, and then I'll put you on our mailing list. For those of you that are watching that video, if you could please send me an email that you are interested, and I will get you information that you could complete for us. This gives us a little bit more information as far as like what sites you might be willing to work at, your phone number, things like that. So any questions again for anyone that is watching this video, please let me know, and I will get that information to you as soon as possible. So again, thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from you.